Thank you very much, Nicholas. I recognize all of you in your different capacities, but permit me to, of course, welcome Duncan Greaves. We go back a long way with Duncan Greaves and Duncan Martin. They gave us a lot of support. I should mention that the grant which was utilized in the initial setup of RENU came through a fund managed by Tenet, South Africa. I must appreciate SAFNet. SAFNet have been our friends right from the start, and I've got colleagues that are now retired. Please extend my regards to the people in SAFNet. They're really appreciated. And of course, Kennedy said you are becoming an elder now too. Good to see you here. So colleagues, I'm excited to be here. But from what Nicholas said, I'll maybe step a little bit of my script before I dig in. But interestingly, it's about the same thing. They tell us in business studies, yes, I did some business studies, that once an idea is successful, it is obsolete. We must always remember that. Or in normal terms, if you find somebody starving, they need food, right? But when you give them food, they then need clothing, and therefore food is no longer the main issue. When you give them clothing, they want an education. When they get an education, they want a job, and so on and so forth. So the needs keep on shifting. So anybody who thinks that universities are going to be interested in connectivity for a long time is mistaken. I'm just underscoring what you said, Nicholas, that we need to think beyond that. We need to think about what is really needed. Permit me, Nicholas, and congratulations on an excellent job you are doing, to add something to your slide, because beyond a good education and good research output, there's national development. So our real objective is to impact national development. Colleagues, in developing countries, universities are about uplifting everybody. And therefore, if you don't have that concern at the center of our minds all the time, then we lose the vision which inspires us beyond research and beyond education. What is it that we are looking for? I'll be telling a few stories here. And the theme, as you can see, is liberating our minds, dreaming the impossible and thinking big, so that we can then take action to really create change. It is possible. And I think I've been fortunate in many ways to have been exposed to environments that have enabled me to do that right from my early days. Hence, the theme of the talk. You are going to see a very curious logo at the bottom of that slide. That organization no longer exists. And therefore, some of these slides are from history. From history, so that we can see how fast things can change around us. So stepping into the past, this is 2007, colleagues. At that time, NetAlert Africa was a capacity building network which was trying to push liberalization of the telecom sector in Africa. At that time in Uganda, we had a few telephone lines in the late 90s, about 30,000. Two of them were mine because the person in charge was my roommate in Makerere, the late Stanley Bakaboyaka. And then in this workshop, we're talking about the need for new regulators, new laws, new policies. But that is in the past. We're now talking to ICT directors from universities, and therefore, we must say what is going to happen in the future. One of the things I've loved over time is science fiction. How many of us have read Isaac Asimov? Any of those three titles? Guys, don't we read? ICT directors. Has anybody here read Isaac Asimov? Of course, Duncan has. Guys, science fiction are the big ideas people have that then become reality later on. The Foundation trilogy, when you think about it, is really about big data. And this was written long ago, before the idea of big data came up, because his thesis was that give me a large enough population and I can predict what is going to happen in terms of how they behave. Give me a large enough data set. This was before I was born, colleagues. And Isaac Asimov, through science fiction, was talking about the present. iRobot. The term robotics, which we use so generously, was invented by Isaac Asimov in a novel. novels about the time when I was born, and I think slightly before, if I remember, iRobot, I think, I forget the year, Duncan, but I think was it early 50s or something like that? And then the robots of dawn. We're talking about sentient robots. And this is what is happening now. So colleagues, science fiction is not really fiction. It is minds liberated so that they can think about possibilities, and then from those possibilities start creating reality. Because once an idea is exposed to people, people are going to pick it up and then actualize it. And this is what leadership is about. It's not about you doing the work, it's about exciting people so that they can actualize the ideas. Nicholas, when you said I founded Direct Vice Support and Renew, the ideas, yes, but the work was not done by me. It was done by a lot of young people. Joe Kimaili, Apollo Cheyune, Nora Mulira. I could name all of them. Some of them are now lecturers. Florence Chivunika, doctor. Yeah, Evelyn Kahiji, doctor. These were the young people who were actualizing our dreams. And this is what we need to do as ICT directors. How are we exciting those young people? So going back into history, we must appreciate therefore that as ICT directors, we must be seers almost. Let us dream about the future so that we can excite the teams under us to actually get the work done. That is our responsibility. Now the slide I'm going to show here, the statements are from the conference to the ministers. In the early 2000s, I was telling them that we want communication anytime, 24/7. Because at that time it was not possible. We want it anywhere, whether it's in the bathroom, car, office. The cross-out is deliberate, colleagues. It is not accidental, because this is history. So that wherever I am, I can be on communication, even in Busembatia, anywhere. There should be no limitation. At that time, it was a dream. Anything, conversation, word processing, tax returns, ticketing, entertainment, shopping, research, spying, and everything. Guys, in the last 20 years, this has been actualized. So all this is now history. The only thing which has not happened is thought activation, and we know it is going to happen sooner than later. So think about that. 2007, how long ago was that, Nicholas? Subtract 15 years, 17 years. But all those things have now come true. Isaac Asimov was in the 50s and 60s, and everything that he wrote about as fiction has come true. And therefore, our challenge as the current generation, can we think like that? At that time, we said we don't want technology boundaries. Now they have disappeared. We assume that we can do anything with our devices. I told the ministers, by the way, there were about 18 of them from Eastern and Southern Africa. And I remember driving in a van with them to go to State House to meet the President, His Excellency, so that they could discuss some of these issues, which look like impossible things, and yet they are now happening. We talked about no service boundaries, and that is now history. So we can see that technology moves on with our dreams, and therefore our dreams can be actualized. I remember joking sometime with Dr. Nora Mulira. She's now, at that time she was Deputy Director ICT Makerere. She's now, I think, Deputy Director, Uganda National Council for Higher Education. And she said, but those are wild dreams. And I told her that, where do you think the phrase in English, beyond my wildest dreams, comes from? It is because dreams can come true. And therefore, colleagues, this is our challenge. Total liberation from locations. This was the dream in the early 2000s, and colleagues, and we now liberated. EduRoam, wherever I am, I can access. I can do anything on a device held in my hand. People call it a phone, but it's not a phone. It's just a portal through which to access services. And therefore, the challenge I give to you right now is that we must learn how to dream, so that we can inspire our young people, our young staff members with those dreams, because they will then pick up those dreams and actualize them. The future is accelerating, colleagues, faster and faster. And therefore, the things we know now are already obsolete. So what are we going to be offering the universities in the future? Give you some possibilities. What do we want? Freedom from understanding technology. Guys, in this room we have got a challenge. We all talk too much technology. Nobody's interested in technology. Many of us have got cars, right? How many of you have got cars? Almost all of you, right? Put up your hands. I just want to see a show of hands. If you have a car. Okay. How many of you know how the engine works internally? Okay, Isaac knows, of course, one of our former CEOs of Renew, because he's an engineer. Most of us don't know how it works. Try another one. How many of us have got phones? Everybody, put up your hands. How many of us know how a phone works? Which was $12 million, and everybody laughed because at that time the university budget for ICT was $100,000. He said, $10 million, where is it going to come from? I told them, we just need approval of the budget. We're not asking you to look for the money. So they approved the budget. And then we went hunting for the money, and within 5 years, we had mobilized $14 million for the campus network and all the systems. CEDA gave us grants twice because of efficient implementation. Okay, I think we are now back on. So we don't understand technology, we use it. We have still got that term. And our universities, our users don't want to understand technology. They just want the functionality. That's when I dream about the future. Learn to talk to me about my benefits, not about the technology. Don't talk to me about routers and AI and everything. By the way, how many of us have got ChatGPT accounts? ChatGPT accounts. All of you should have this account because it is actually very cheap, sorry. Board member, it is actually quite cheap. We need it. And by the way, since you are here, let me put a disclaimer. So people have been calling me professor. You know, there's something about professor in Makerere. When you leave the campus, unless you are a professor emeritus, you don't call yourself professor. Me, I'm okay with my name, Tusu, as it is, so please don't add anything. Titles don't add anything to me, please. Just Tusu is sufficient for me. So getting back to our slides. So we need freedom from technology. I need an environment which makes me feel at home. From you directors, I want to go and sit in my office and I'm feeling at home already. I'm in the ICT environment, which is like me. It is personalized to me. It's not just a computer. I get in, just like when I walk home, I'm recognized by everybody, I'm welcomed, everybody is happy to see me. That's what I want when I get online. Personal interfaces. I need an intelligent environment if I'm a researcher. Many of us are researchers, right? Surely, if you have got artificial intelligence-powered environment, why can't it continue doing my research, the basic part, literature, research, analysis, and so on, when I'm sleeping? Why can't I come home and I get an update and say, this is what has come up, this is what is the latest, this is what you need to think about? I need a living assistant in the ICT environment because it is now possible. Is this a challenge for you ICT directors, or are you used to thinking connectivity? That's not about connectivity, it's about functionality of the environment. That's the kind of environment we want. And especially, and that is for me, I need a password-free world. I need a password-free world. Duncan, you saw that file I have there. You know, I'm very suspicious about online things because I know what goes on. I understand, I know about cybersecurity. And that little file, Duncan, has got all my passwords because I don't save any of them on my laptop. I don't save any of them online because I know what happens there. But then it is a nuisance. Why can't I have other means of identification when I get online? What are the possibilities there that you can give me as IT directors, if you are real IT directors? I want intuitive interfaces. I don't want to feel stupid. When I touch equipment, I should be able to understand what to do. When I stand up to walk, I don't think about where I'm going to put my foot. I simply walk, all right? When I want to see, I simply open my eyes. I don't need to figure out a lot of things to get what I want to get done. And that's the kind of environment we're trying to create for everybody. I want to have a natural conversation in my office, even if there's no one. So I talk to my computer. So what direction do you think we should take with this research? And it should respond to me. and say, I think this is what is happening. People in the Netherlands are doing this and that. People in the US are doing this. Why don't you try this line? Because we can innovate. So that's the kind of environment we are looking for in about 5 years, Nicholas. Beyond connectivity. That is your challenge, not mine. I want assured security. Guys, we pay our taxes and everything. Why should I worry about national defense? How many of us worry about national defense? Yes? Put up your hand if you are about national defense. You do? Okay. Maybe you are in the police or something. But the point is, we rest assured that somebody is in charge. You know that feeling? Somebody is in charge. It's like when you're at home and you have got young kids and they say, Daddy and Mommy are at home, everything is okay. So I've got the ICT director, so everything is okay. Me, I'll get in, I'll do my work, and I'll conclude. I don't have to worry about security, passwords, and so on. That should not be my problem. We have assumed that it is always the user's problem, and therefore we need to change, colleagues. We need to change our mindsets as ICT directors about who we are and what we do. That's the first thing. We still assume we are the same people doing the same things I was doing a long time ago. And that's what I was mostly dreaming most of the time. But if we are stuck in that rut as ICT directors, we cannot expect change in our environment. We need to think beyond what is happening now and think beyond that, change your mindset. We need to redefine a new environment using a greenfields approach. I believe it is, Duncan, remind me if I'm wrong, Shunryu Suzuki, who said that in the mind of the beginner, there are many possibilities, but in the mind of the expert, there are very few. So we need the state of the mind of beginners all the time so that we can liberate ourselves from current knowledge. You know that knowledge is a prison. Once you are an expert, you are a prisoner of your expertise. Without releasing that expertise, you cannot imagine new things. And therefore, we need to learn that in order to imagine new things and new futures. We must know the client. You know, nowadays I play a lot with our grandchildren. Clap for me, I've got 6 grandchildren so far. And still counting. We hope they can produce some more. That's not our problem. We spoil them and they pay their fees. But the point is, you can talk at their level. It's a mother talking to a baby and they're communicating. Now you go to the office of the vice chancellor and you talk about routers. You are not communicating, are you? You talk about mesh, the brain mesh. You are not communicating. Tell them what they can get from it and they will understand. And therefore we need to change our language. And our biggest challenge as technical people, colleagues, is that we have confined ourselves to technology. Technology is not the be-all and end-all. One of the reasons I relate very, very well with the Duncan Griffiths is that he has got a rich intellectual mind. It is wide, it roves all over the place. That's a fact, Duncan, I'm not just saying it. I tell people that there are no knowledge boundaries, but engineers are so proud of their knowledge that they hide inside it. They don't interact with the external world and they think that's the entire world. The entire world is much bigger than that. One of my biggest prides in Makerere was that we fought the battle and introduced sociology as a subject in engineering and communication skills because those things are not being done. And therefore we need to liberate ourselves from the confines of technology and understand how other people think, the lawyers, the economists. Read everything, colleagues. Read The Prince by Machiavelli to understand a bit of leadership psychology. Some of you don't understand our leaders. Go and read Machiavelli's The Prince, you'll understand them. Read widely and learn more about other areas so that when you go to the Faculty of Arts, you can talk to them in their language. When you go to law, you can talk to them in their language. When you go to medicine, you can talk to them in their language, right? You can talk about postpartum bleeding, you can talk about eclampsia and things like that because you have taken the trouble to understand what they were about and therefore you can easily support them. That is our biggest challenge, colleagues. We need liberated minds. And then after that, dare to think big. I shared the story about Makerere. The other story, and this is now with the Duncans. You remember the days when you are starting the alliance. Here about 6, 8 individuals without any national permission without even university permission, setting up an organization called the Internet Alliance, and then trekking all over the world seeking support. I remember making a presentation to the commissioners of the European Union. We are talking about we need funding. But you know what I used to tell them? That if you can support us, we shall make rapid progress. But even if you don't, we shall achieve our objective with or without your support. And that's the right attitude. So we dared think big. If we don't think big, we shall not change our campuses. Don't think in terms of, but our university is poor. Once you think like that, you are going to be perpetually poor. Don't be limited by your current circumstances. Dare to think big. And then once you have done that, if you have got a team, give them space to grow. You know, many of us have got a problem that we want to confine those who report to us to our limited abilities. And yet each of them has got capacity well beyond what we have. And collectively, they are much, much more than you are. And therefore, when you talk about starting ICT in Makerere Nicholas, or starting Renew, that was not me, it was the people. And my only job was to inspire them, let them make the decisions, let them make mistakes, because mistakes, especially in the current environment, are opportunities for learning. Protect them when they make mistakes, and anybody who has worked with me would know that. I used to tell them that, do whatever you want. If anything goes wrong, I've got your back. And they did. They changed Makerere because they had that authority. And once you do that, they will build your dream. So colleagues, this is our challenge, that if we want to go beyond where we are now, if we want this forum to become something different, let us elevate our thinking from the pedestrian thinking about connectivity, because connectivity is no longer the challenge. Let's think about the dressing and the education and so on that people now need or universities need. Let's step into the current future so that we can then dream about the bigger future. Universities are fighting artificial intelligence. They say, but our students are going to cheat. Let's step beyond that, because you don't fight away tools. I'm excited about artificial intelligence and the possibilities it creates for learning and research. And therefore, our researchers can take a step beyond the things they have been doing so that we can get better output. That's our challenge, colleagues. And I'll end with this African saying, which I hope does not apply to you, that I pointed you to the sky, and all you could see was the tip of my finger. Thank you very much.